Hello YouTubers, this is RobBriz95 here with just a kind of random video, I guess. I was talking about doing kind of like a budget EDH deck and got some flack for some people because they're like, ooh, EDH should learn blah blah blah. In my opinion, EDH, bear in mind, my opinion, mine and mine alone, it doesn't have to be anyone else's, but in my personal belief, EDH is a good way to learn. Standard's good too, but EDH you learn all the mechanics for all the formats. So you can go back and learn phasing, flanking, morph, things like that, you know. You learn about all the different walks, you learn about all the, you know, the affinity and things. You know, it's a good way to learn. And it's, if you're playing with the right meta, it's a fun format, and it's about fun. And, you know, there are the D-bags that I can think of a couple off the top of my head that I've encountered on YouTube that can make it unfun, but a majority of the EDH players, it's all about fun. Like true EDH players, the ones that won't call it Commander, and people like me, I refuse to call it Commander. Sorry, it's silly. Elder Dragon Highlander's got so much more flavor to it, and you know, I've even actually been tossing around. I know they're not very powerful cards, of actually making an Elder Dragon Highlander deck using an Elder Dragon like Arcades Sabbath or Nico Bolas or any of the other ones. Or Palladius Mons, I think was the one I was thinking about. Anyway, so I was doing a budget EDH deck with a course of the Conclave. So I put together, and bear in mind, this is a deck, it's like the pre-con commander decks you'd buy. It's to be built on and changed. So this isn't the permanent deck. I'm going to pose it to everybody, and I want to try and keep it as budget as possible. So far it's kind of geared towards tokens and ramping really quick with things like, and making the tokens bigger with like Sigil Paladin and things like that, making all your 1/1s bigger, you know, and using them to pay convoke costs, so you can get like a 9/14 out, or and like a Guardian of Vitu-Ghazi and stuff like that. It's just a convenient little thing, and this is just a jumping off point. So let's jump into it. And I also figured with all those little tokens and whatnot, you can use the ability on Chorus Conclave to tap down mana and make them bigger. So, yeah, go figure. It's all about making things bigger. So, remember, I want to try and keep this kind of budget. So suggestions are extremely welcome. So as budget as I can possibly be. I mean, there are some there's a couple pricey cards here and there, but not very many actually. I think only there's under 10. So anyway, so we're gonna start off with the land base. We got colorless kind of mana producers, and a Rupture Spire. Too close. Got a Rupture Spire as one. A Command Tower. Temple of the False God. Halls of Mist is a really good card. Prevents creatures from attacking you. So, but it also stops you from attacking, but it gives you time to kind of build things up. So, you know, it's kind of one of those stall tactics. Of course, a Reliquary Tower. Mishra's Factory, just on the fence with the manland here. And I've got the cheap fetches, because I want to, once again, try and keep it budget in Bant Panorama, Naya Panorama, and Terramorphic Expanse. Got the one bounce land, Celestia Sanctuary, in the Grey Pelt Refuge. A Stirring Wildwood, Sun Petal Grove, those are the multicolored there. The white non-basics are a Sejiri Step, gives protection, is always good. Emeria the Sky Ruin. For green we've got Vivid Grove, and the Oran Reef the Vastwood, which is great because most of these multicolored creatures have green in them, so you can pump them up. This should have been with the manlands, but here's a Dryad Arbor, just a really good 1/1 land. And for land destruction package, got a Terramorphic and a Ghost Quarter. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think these are all like Judgment and Odyssey and whatnot. 7 forests. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plains. So the mana base is adjustable. Everything is adjustable. So, but I wanted to try and stay away from a lot of the more expensive lands and whatnot. I mean, I guess Vasuba's not too expensive right now, but things like I can't think, Shocklands are they're really expensive. So let's just get into the artifacts here to help with the mana costs and whatnot. Got a doubling cube, just for some random graveyard hate. You gotta love it. Tormod's Crypt. Basically the Sensei's top, the poor man's Sensei's top, and is the Dark Steel Pendant. It's a decent card. Got a Crystal Ball. It's a really good card actually in EDH. A Mimic Vat. In card draw, with all the little tokens you're going to be producing, it won't be a bad card. Before, when it came out, it was kind of kind of an iffy card. But this is actually a fairly good card with tokens. It's got a Carnage Altar for card draw, fairly decent card draw card. And of course, got your mana rocks. You've got a Sol Ring, Dark Steel Ingot. This isn't really a mana rock, but it turns things into mana producers. Spring Leaf Drum. It's actually a pretty good card. A Wildfield Border Post. And now for the equipment, we've got the kind of Shroud / Haste cards in Swiftfoot Boots, Lightning Greaves, and Whisper Silk Cloak, giving creatures hexproof and whatnot, and 2 of them giving them haste. So one of the most underrated equipment cards from Mirrodin is probably this one right here, Banshee Blade. You put charge counters on it, it gets bigger. The charge counters don't go away when it's unequipped from the creature. It stays as it is. And every time the creature does damage, it gets a charge counter. So, I mean, it sticks around. You put it on a little token. Swing at someone with a token. So, it starts out, equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on Banshee Blade. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage, put a charge counter on this card. So, yeah, it's a very, I mean, it's a 2-cost artifact and a 2-cost to equip. It's a very underrated card from Mirrodin. I have a shit ton of these. Of course, another good equipment card, Loxodon Warhammer. It's a really good card. Manariki Gusari lets you destroy other people's equipment. So that's really cool. You can also use, I think it's called Hammer of Ruin. It's from Worldwake. Lets you destroy other equipments. And, of course, you can't have a green-white deck without Behemoth Sledge. Pretty much does the same thing as Loxodon Warhammer, except gives you some in the butt as well as some in the front. So those are the artifacts. We're going to move on to probably the 3 most expensive cards in the deck. And I don't want to hear, I mean, I guess, like I said, this is just kind of a jumping off point. I can add cards to it if I want to try and make it budget though. And one of them is technically not too budget right now, but the other 2 are kind of. So, Karn Liberated is just a good way to keep things kind of out of your way. So that's a good card to have on hand. Here we go. This is a good card for tokens and untapping. Garruk Wildspeaker, great card. Probably the better of the Garruks, at least, in my opinion. Once again, my opinion. And probably the more expensive card in the deck, probably most expensive, is Garruk Relentless. So, but he's got his uses, so, once again. Okay, now let's go on to multicolored. For good old-fashioned enchantment destruction, got a Qasali Pride Mage, really good card. A Celestine Evangel to create tokens. A Sigil Captain to make those tokens stronger. An Autochthon Worm, which with all the tokens you can pay its convoke cost, and you're getting a 9/14 for 3 green and 2 white instead of 10 colorless, 3 green and 2 white. Or there's other ways to get him out on the field too. There's lots of other ways in this deck. So this experiment, I should say. Here we go. Celestine Guildmage, good way for creating sap-rolling tokens. Yeah, that's a good card. He also gives creatures +1/+1 till end of turn. So I just got this one in a trade. Another good way to create tokens, and another good way to copy. Putting tokens into play and copying the tokens is actually, it's a pretty decent effect. So I've got Rice the Redeemed, really good card. I don't have the other Rice. If anyone has it, I would be willing to trade for it. He's a good card too. This one was actually an extra from Lone Wolf Drew, and it kind of just fit into the whole theme, and it's got Threshold, one of my favorite effects. So I figured I'd just kind of put it in on, for fun, a Mystic Enforcer. It's a 3/3, so you can't fail. And it's pro black, so most people in my meta play black anyway. So here's another token generating, and it also gives green and white creatures +1/+1, so can't fail. Tolsimir Wolfblood, cool card. Good way to gain life and to regenerate creatures. A Loxodon Hierarch, one of the more expensive token generator cards in the deck, but probably one of the coolest because you can attach it to the Oddish Thornworm, make him flying, and then get sap rolling tokens for the damage he does. So, Pollenbright Wings, a really cool card. Really cool card. This is probably one of the cards I won't change. Of course, one of the meaner cards, Aura Shards. This one is I want to put a shout out to Milo the Great One for this one. This is a really cool card. It's an enchant player card that says if a card would be put into enchanted player's graveyard from anywhere, instead that card is revealed and put on the bottom of that player's library. So you have a chance of getting the card back or going into your library to get it. Wheel of Sun and Moon, really good card. Really underrated card. Probably, I've opened quite a few. I actually have quite a few of these. All of them I actually pulled from packs when they came out, when Ice Age came out. But a good retrieval card from any graveyard is Hymn of Rebirth. Really good card. Trade, I think it's some car guy. Nice guy. But here's one way to get the big creatures out in Hunting Grounds. It's a really good card. It says Threshold. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may put a creature card from your hand into play. Decent. Threshold, for those of you who don't know, if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, which in EDH is extremely possible, then you can have half your deck if you're playing Mr. Lubufu Haduna deck, which is insanely easy to get in EDH. So you can have 7 cards in there, Threshold out, you can put out your cards and whatnot. To help keep you and everything you own protected, you got a Privileged Position. It's another good card. So let's move on to the green. There's some like mild ramp and just some other random things in here. I have it separated by, well, not really by too much, like spells and then creatures. So to help get all your creatures back into your library so you can keep using them, got a Repopulation. It's a fairly cheap card, that's why I'm using it. A way to get rid of other people's graveyards and get tokens in the process is probably one of my favorite cards, and I've been having a hard time trying to find another one because this one's in pretty rough shape, and I'd actually like to replace it if anyone's got one. It's called Night Soil. It's from Ice Age. You can pay, what is it, pay 1? Yeah, pay 1, remove 2 creatures in any graveyard from the game, and put a sap rolling token into play. That token is a 1/1 green creature. So basically, you can get rid of people's graveyards and you get a 1/1. So it's kind of nice, and it only costs 2 green. Actually, it's a really nice card. So if anyone happens to have one that's in, like, not, I mean, this one's, as you can see, it's faded, and this card is old. All my old cards, I pulled them from packs. So yeah, you can't have a token deck without Beastmaster Ascension. This is awesome. You attack with 7 of your little token guys, and the next time you attack, you've got a shit ton of 5 or 6 6s going down someone's throat. I mean, come on. How awesome is that? Beastmaster Ascension is a great card, and I don't know why it isn't more expensive. I mean, I know why, but this and Pyromancer Ascension, awesome cards. Okay, more token generation in Awakening Zone. Super budget, gotta love it. Another good way to protect your creatures and whatnot, Asceticism, and you can regenerate them. Really cool card. And for more popping out of tokens and whatnot, I don't have a Doubling Season that I'm going to put in this deck. I've got one, but I'm not going to put it in this deck because I want to make it budget. Doubling Season's freaking expensive. Parallel Lives will work just as well though. So don't worry. I don't think it works on. It won't work on planeswalkers, but like doubling season does. But for tokens, not bad. Of course, I don't have a Kadama's Reach in this deck, but I've got a Cultivate. So, okay, now another way to get creatures out onto the board. Elvish Piper. Pay 1 green, put a creature from your hand into play. Simple. Easy. Nice. Of course, it's just a fun card. I put it in here because it's fun. Scoop Mob. 1 green. Can't beat it. Check the time here. Let's see. We've got a Tajuru Preserver. It prevents players from making you sacrifice things. So it's a really good card, actually. And I don't know if it saw much play in Standard, because I didn't play much Standard during Zendikar. I love the Zendikar block. There are a lot of awesome cards. I just didn't play much Standard. So it's a really good card. This is from Rise Eldrazi. And of course a Moldiah Channelers, another really good card. It can produce 2 mana, or it gets +3/+3. You know, it's pretty good. So, another really decent card is lets you play an extra land on a turn. Oracle of Moldiah, very good card. Okay, we've got Sack Outlet and Card Draw. Not Sack Outlet. Card Draw and Land Fetch in Yavimaya Elder. It's a really good card. Drove of Elves is just a really good kind of beat stick type thing. So. Quirion Explorer lets you tap it for any color mana that you have in land you have can produce, so green, white. Let's see, got Quirion Elves. You choose a color when it comes into play. So in the case of this, you choose white, and it has 2 abilities. You choose a color of any land or choose a color from land you have in play, like in this case green, white, so you choose white. So this now taps for green and white because its second ability, tap it for 1 white, or 1 green. Sorry, if that makes any sense. Kind of mumbling, it's late. So, Quirion Elves. Awesome card. Of course, more land retrieval in Sakura Tribe Elder. Good card. A good way to create sap rolling tokens, because you can pull spore counters off of this card itself and put spore counters onto it and whatnot. You got Sporoloth Ancient, so you're creating more of those little tokens to sack for card draw or just make your little token army. And another way to help protect yourself is one of Roxaboxen's favorite cards, I say sarcastically, Dosen the Falling Leaf. So, helps keep you protected. Now on to white, one of the more budget board wipers in Day of Judgment. Wanted to make it cheap in cost. I was going to use Hour of Reckoning, or is it Solar Tide? No, it's Hour of Reckoning because it doesn't destroy tokens. Solar Tide is creatures 3 and below or creatures 3 and up. So, I mean, which would work, but if I had a cheaper Wrath, I'd put it in as well, but DOJ is pretty cheap right now, so. Personal Sanctuary is to help protect you on your turn. Give it a try in this deck. Concerted Effort is actually a decent card. So here, I'll read it to you. It says, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, all creatures you control gain flying until end of turn. If a creature you control has flying, the same is true for Fear, First Strike, Double Strike, Land Walk, Protection, Trample, and Vigilance. So, as long as you have one creature with like Flying, Trample, Vigilance in play, they all have all 3 of those abilities. So that actually becomes kind of cool. Now, if you can get one creature of every type that's listed on here into your deck, and get them all out on the battlefield, all those creatures have all those things. So, you know, fairly decent card. Also, it was pretty underrated at the time. Just a kind of a good way to keep those pesky generals at bay. And Condemn. Send them right to the bottom of the player's library. Whoop, gone. Until they can retrieve them. Got some permanent removal in O-Ring. spot removal, Path to Exile, more protection with Ghostly Prison. The Veteran Armorer gives your other creatures you control get +0/+1, just makes them a little bit stronger. So, you know, trying to keep it budget. This is a Spur Mage Advocate. You can, this is an interesting card, you can tap it and return 2 target cards in an opponent's graveyard to his or her hand, destroy target attacking creature. So, I mean, it's got kind of a political side to it, but kind of a disadvantage, but it's a good way to have, like, a, I don't know, Path to Exile on a stick, or, you know, Doomblade on a stick, even though it's white. So, you are sending 2 cards back to someone's hand, but you're destroying a pain-in-the-ass creature in the process, so. And it's not a spell. I mean, it is an ability, but, you know, it's not a spell, so. And of course, I wish I had a Primeval Titan I could put in here, but it's currently in a ramp deck. A Sun Titan to retrieve things. So, that's the jumping off point for the Chorus of the Conclave EDH deck. So please, suggestions, comments, try and keep it budget. Want to try and make it accessible to everyone. I know there's some kind of unbudget cards in here, but I was also working with what I had on hand that I would think would be a bit more budget. I know Garrick's not really budget right now, and Sun Titan's not too bad, I guess. So yeah, please rate, comment, subscribe. Comments are very welcome. After I get this deck finalized, then we'll do another one. I'm thinking about doing a. I think I may do the Axelrod Gunnarsson. I think that's what it is. Or I'm sorry, no. The yeah, whatever. I forgot the guy's name. The Wojak veteran guy. Like, try and stick with 2 colors because they're easier to manage. Anyway, I'm ranting, and I've probably taken up enough of your time. And if you sat through this whole thing, I thank you very kindly. So please comment, let me know what you suggestions and things like that. See if we can get this deck out, and then when it's completely finalized, I'll put up an actual deck tech, and maybe I'll shoot footage of me playing against someone like Rox the Boxen or something like that. So anyway, until next time, YouTube, y'all have a good night.